In vain, after these things, may we indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve inviolate those inestimable privileges for which we have been so long contending, if we mean not basely to abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, and which we have pledged ourselves never to abandon, until the glorious object of our contest shall be obtained, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight. An appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left us. We have no other alternative than independence, or the most ignominious and galling servitude. The legions of our enemies thicken on our plains, desolation and death mark their bloody career, while the mangled corpses of our countrymen seem to cry out to us as a voice from heaven. Courage, then, my countrymen, our contest is not only whether we ourselves shall be free, but whether there shall be left to mankind an asylum on earth for civil and religious liberty. Dismissing, therefore, the justice of our cause is incontestable, the only question is, what is best for us to pursue in our present circumstances? From the day of this declaration, the people of North America were no longer the fragment of a distant empire, imploring justice and mercy from an inexorable master in another hemisphere. They were no longer children appealing in vain to the sympathies of a heartless mother, no longer subjects leaning upon the shattered columns of royal promises and invoking the faith of parchment to secure their rights. They were a nation, asserting as of right and maintaining by war its own existence. A nation was born in a day. Every man's heart swells within him. Every man's port and bearing becomes somewhat more proud and lofty, as he remembers that 75 years have rolled away, and that the great inheritance of liberty is still his undiminished and unimpaired, is in all its original glory his to enjoy, his to protect, and his to transmit to future generations. I have said, gentlemen, that our inheritance is an inheritance of American liberty. That liberty is characteristic, peculiar, and altogether our own. Nothing like it existed in former times, nor was known in the most enlightened states of antiquity, while with us its principles have become interwoven into the minds of individual men. Another most important part of the great fabric of American liberty is that there shall be written constitutions founded on the immediate authority of the people themselves, and regulating and restraining all the powers conferred upon government, whether legislative, executive, or judicial. That is the electric cord in that declaration that links the hearts of patriotic and liberty-loving men together, that will link those patriotic hearts as long as the love of freedom exists in the minds of men throughout the world. That sentiment in the Declaration of Independence which gave liberty, not alone to the people of this country, but, I hope, to the world, for all future time. It is rather for us, the living, we here be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that, from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion that we hear highly. Resolve these dead shall not have died in vain, that the nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from their birth. It is not so much, then, for the purpose of undertaking to proclaim new theories and principles that this annual celebration is maintained, but rather to reaffirm and reestablish those old theories and principles which time and the unerring logic of events have demonstrated to be sound. Amid all the clash of conflicting interests, amid all the welter of partisan politics, every American can turn for solace and consolation to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States with assurance and confidence that those two great charters of freedom and justice remain firm and unshaken. Whatever perils appear, whatever dangers threaten, the nation remains secure in the knowledge that the ultimate application of the law of the land will provide an adequate defense and protection.